I've had 2 phone calls with different agents that have asked a pretty good question. They're kind of finding out, what is the route that you would take for becoming an agent? Like, if you're brand new to this industry, if you don't have a license, number one, get a license. If you're trying to purchase a company and you don't want to sell, you don't want to be involved, I still recommend you get a license. You don't have to, because you can legally own the agency without having a license, but you do have to have people appointed that have them that can run the company. The point I'm making is that if you have the license, the reason I would do that first and above all else is because if something major changes, then you have that license to back up. You can default to yourself, you can pull everything back, you can get involved, get a little bit dirty with the business. It's not the goal, right? But that's really, sometimes that has to happen. And you don't want the business to just shut down and not be able to function. Now, I've actually personally gone through this myself as well, because I recently separated from a partner that I had, and he had the licenses and I had to go back and re-get some licenses. So it was a little bit of a pain, and I luckily knew this ahead of time. So we've contracted that I planned to keep his license on file for X amount of time, so that it gave me time to pass my exams and get through my licensing, which got it on the first try again. So more power to me there, I guess. Super excited. As any of you that have taken like a PNC test or any type of insurance test, it's always like I'm done, I got it, it's fixed. So now it's just like going through the process, getting all the state's license and all of the technical stuff. So it's a lot more complicated when you're running an agency versus if you're just starting off new as an agent. But the point of this video, I want to talk about the 3 pieces, or the 3 types of licenses, or 3 types of selling insurance that you can look at. Now, yeah, there's life, there's health, there's all of those things, right? Mostly PNC is what I talk about and I try to focus on. The part that you probably are asking is, what are my next steps? What do I do? I've got my license, I've passed my exam, I'm ready to move forward, I want to start an agency, I don't want to keep working at this insurance company that I don't make any profits from in the future, X, Y, and Z. You've got 100 different reasons. Let me know what your reasons are in the comments below. There's 3 pieces that I look at. So 1, you could go on your own. And honestly, if I were to start over, I probably would have done that from the start. Now, right now, I wouldn't do it in 2024. Maybe in 2026, if this video is still popular 2 years from now, it'll still be relevant. But in 2026, if all of these carriers have flipped back around and say we want to work with everybody, there was a point when carriers were dying to get agents. They're like, everyone gets appointed. It's kind of like back in 2008 and 2010 when the home loans were just, everybody gets one. You get a loan, you get a loan, you get an appointment. Now, no one gets an appointment. Like, you're just lucky if you got into the door to get an appointment. Now, being new, you might as well just throw it away. All right, there are options. It's still worth trying. I still would kind of give it a shot, to be honest with you, and just try a couple of them just to see what they say. If you can get 1 or 2 appointments on your own, that's all you need to start. You go off on your own, you get your own direct appointments. It's a lot more complicated than you think. There's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of legalities, there's a lot of companies you're going to work with, especially even if you're just doing 1 state. If you do multiple states, it gets a little bit more complicated. Not a ton, it just gets more paperwork and more legalities and all of the things. And then if it's just you, then grow that part. Get to the $1 million book, get to $1.5 million, maybe even 2 million, and then start hiring and growing from there to grow directly. So if you have those direct appointments, that's super powerful because you get the commissions, you get everything from the company. The carrier comes to you to work with you. The only scary part about going that route is that you are also the one that's responsible for everything. So if you don't grow, if they don't like what you're doing, they can end that appointment. And that book that you've built will stay with them and you'll still get paid commissions and you probably can access the policies and all those things. But you're stuck because if you can only get that 1 appointment or those 2 appointments and you lose that appointment, now you've kind of started growing and then you instantly have to stop. Now, that's not as big of a scare because you technically could go to another carrier or a network or things like that, which is the second piece, is to join a network. Now, when we started, getting appointments was a scare. If I would have known that we would have gotten all the appointments directly ourselves, which we did, then I probably would have gave it a shot on our own. I just didn't think that the industry would have accepted us. I guess being 12 years in the business and having a map of where we want to go and the type of customers we're trying to grow and the 5-year and 10-year plan written out and drawn on like 20 pieces of paper. Like we literally mapped it out. We used a company. We went all out. This was like a straight business strategy plan, and that was awesome, right? So we presented them to all these companies, and most of the carriers said, yep, we're good. Now, 2.5 years later, all of the other carriers, even though they're locked down, they're like, once we open up, you guys are in. Like this is unlocked as soon as it goes. We can look at your book, you're getting 1.8 something policies per household, you're getting the right premium, you're not giving discounts that you shouldn't be giving. There's all of the different like shady things that agents do that we just refuse to do. And so that growth and that type of business is what carriers want to deal with. They want to work with those types of people. So when you do that, that's the benefit of joining a network, is you can kind of prove yourself to be a good agent. Now you're going to give up anywhere from 10 to 20% of your book. So you're going to pay a fee to be part of that network. We pay a few $100s to use our EasyLink software, and that's per user. We also pay a percentage of our book that we write every single month to that network. So there are some negatives, and the crazy thing is we already know what we're doing. So it's like, I don't need the training, although that's great if it's available. I don't need any of the things that a normal network may offer. The problem is most networks don't offer any of that. So when you join a network, because a lot of the people joining networks are CPAs, they're individuals just trying to get a quick thing in. They thought, I'm bored, I might as well get my license, or I might make some extra money because I do finance and I want to do insurance too. And then they get in there and realize that there's so many more things to learn. All the follow-up, all the change car A to car B, red car to blue car, this was wrong, you got sued for this, insurance, like all of the things that come with the industry are difficult. And so most of those guys go in and never write a thing. So they'll join a network, they'll sign the agreement, they'll pay the $1,000 fee or whatever it is, or $5,000 fee or whatever the network fee is, and then they'll never write a single policy because it was just too much, too complicated, and they didn't realize that that trust isn't built with their current agency. So joining a network is powerful. If you're interested, I can give you the contact information to the network we're in. The other part that we're looking at, which is the third way, is to join under an agency. So some agencies don't want to become a network. My goal is not to become a network, although I want to test out some things with the networking. So one thing that I've wanted to do is we're looking for agents. I need to hire another agent as quick as possible. And so doing that, the other way that I can do that, I can allow other people to join our company under our network. So what that means is, let's say you want to sell Progressive, right? If you go to the #1 network out there, I don't think they even allow Progressive right now. I think they got locked out. That's also one of the negatives of being part of a big network, is they can get locked out. There's a company that I know that can sell Progressive, but they have to do a $1,000 deductible. They legally don't, but they'll get shut down if they don't. And they actually promote not selling Progressive. They pay more if you don't sell a Progressive, because Progressive is competitive in a lot of these states. Those companies, or those larger networks that don't focus on the longevity, the this, the that, and the focus on the right customer, the right client, all of the things that we just talked about, they're gonna get hit. And those larger networks can't control as much of that book being written, or maybe they don't want to. I don't know the inner workings of that. So you got to be careful. If you do join a network, that's not a guarantee that you're going to get appointed with all of the carriers. That being said, when you're added to a company, that's the third option, is being added to, let's say, our company, then you're allowed as an appointed agent to sell through them. The part you've got to know is it can get a little bit complicated as far as costs. So the cost is, what do you want to do? Do you want to have your own software? If you do, then you have to pay your $200 and some odd for that software. Or do you just let the company run the payroll and all of that, but you kind of lock yourselves out from quotes? So there's a couple different options, right? I can go in and quote Progressive and then Safeco and then Allstate and then all of these different individual policies. It's going to take me a while to do that. Now, it's actually kind of the way most of them are doing it right now anyways, because their softwares are just not communicating very well. That's a different video. The carriers have just blocked quoting software for the most part. Again, not because of the networks or the software, but because of not wanting a ton of new business. They're trying to slow down the large numbers coming in so they can hone the business in during the hard market, right? This is starting to switch. We're starting to see this flip back up going into the end of 2024, going into 2025. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I've seen some of these carriers start to show up more. Pull it back in, Mark. Let's talk the network. If you're joining into that, you have that option. What I'm thinking more of is us designing a way to where you submit it to us. So if it's not a time-sensitive thing, then you can submit it in. We can pay for the software, pay for all of the things. We can give you kind of our CRM so that you can follow up with customers and things like that and do our model. And then that's like a low cost, if anything, right? And then you have access to do all that, but then as long as you're willing to wait 24 hours or 12 hours or 8 hours or whatever, 2 hours, just depending on how busy we get, we'll go in, we'll quote it, we'll give you options, and then we'll share it back to you to go sell it. Now, if you sell it, you're going to have options to either take a percentage because you're licensed, you legally can take a percentage, or you can just get a flat fee and then we retain it, right? So there's a lot of different options that these companies have, and those are really the three that I've seen. Very few do the third. I got to test it out and look at it because I'm sure there's a ton of legal stuff in every state that's all different. So it's running it through the lawyer, running it through all the things. Let me know what your thoughts are. Have you guys ran into anything like that? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, those are really the processes I would take. If you're interested in something like that, send me a message. You can go to my About page and my email's in there, or leave me a comment here and we can kind of connect. If you just want the contact to the network that we're part of, I'd be happy to share that. As long as you guys are growing, that's really the end goal of any of this, is to raise the tides, to rise all, to raise, to rise, to raise. Raising tides raise all ships. And if I can be part of building that tide, then that is honestly the goal. We're going to get what we get because of what we do. And we're just putting as much value out there as possible that can benefit everybody. If just getting into the network works, then there you go. If just getting advice works, then there you go. If it gets too busy to where there's a ton of people asking and complicated, then we may have to start scheduling things. So let me know what your thoughts are. I'm Mark W. Flockhart. We'll see you soon.